Okay.
Roll call. We're taking a roll call.
Katie.
Barb Peterson.
Jill Burchell.
Jim Schrock.
Kurt Weiss.
Jean
Fred.
Morrison.
So we are going to approve the consent items. Is there any discussion about the consent items?
I move approval of the consent items.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We have an action item, consideration to approve action taken during closed session. One thing that I would say about the order of items on the agenda is that we always reserve the right to change the order a little bit as we go, depending on if someone's here, and you know what I mean?
Yep.
So we do reserve the right to do that as we go along. Consideration to approve action taken during closed session held on August 16, 2016, pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.851C regarding new pay scale for library employees. Barb, do you have information on? You took the notes on that.
I took the notes on that, and so in closed session, we voted to approve a market rate increase for TINA of 12% effective January 1st. And so I
Okay, so you moved to
I move that we approve that decision that we made in closed session.
Okay, you got discussion?
I'll second that.
Yeah, a second? Okay. Any discussion on the topic? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Citizen comments? I don't think we have, unless the young lady back there behind the camera wants to say something. Anyone is always welcome to speak at our meetings without any kind of filling on a permit. Presentations by supporting organizations, Friends of the Library, Library Foundation. I don't see anybody here. I hope Lori is okay.
But I can speak,
Okay.
not for the, well, Joyce Law is on holiday in the middle, I think, of the Atlantic right now. So the Friends actually didn't meet last month. The foundation met, and we are moving rapidly forward with the annual end-of-year appeal. We've engaged Library Strategies to help us with that work, so that burden does not fall on the library director as it did a year ago. We're also drafting a first annual report of the foundation, which will go to our municipal partners and to the approximately 275 to 300 people who made contributions last year. And it really tells them primarily what we did with the money that we received from them. They're approximately $30,000.
Okay.
The other thing that we're doing is having Library Strategies also help us create a brochure so that we can communicate what the foundation is about to the community. And they're really changing in focus from approach of supporting capital endeavors to supporting efforts that enhance the operation of the library with additional resources. So, and one of the things that was done at the foundation was we assigned, escrowed perhaps. I don't know that we actually provided a check to Tina for the iLab. And that's really the maker space for both technological activities as well as more traditional handicraft activities in terms of a maker space. So really applicable to all ages. And to, Barbara, there were two others. There was a winter reading program, and the third, Tina, I'm blanking.
Small business.
Oh, the small business, what thing I've been advocating for, yes. The education for entrepreneurs and small business owners in terms of there's a variety of courses that are going to be, so funding those 3 activities too. So that was about $15,000, a little less than $15,000.
Nice. Very good.
Did the Library Foundation have a meeting since our last meeting to discuss ways to help alleviate, that the foundation could help alleviate the operating deficit? Or is it too soon to talk about that?
Well, I mean, we certainly are undertaking our annual appeal, and that will raise resources then to sort out how to. Typically, the purpose of the foundation is to enhance and not to pay. Now, there certainly has been not to pay salaries, for example, or building costs.
Operating expenses.
Traditional operating expenses.
Right.
Now, typically that could in fact be used, to enhance collections, which in fact is in a sense what we're doing with the support for the makerspace. You could, well, it's not so much a collection as a service. So I think there's going to be pushback to fill deficits.
Okay. I just wanted to know whether that kind of
But we
discussion-
did not have a discussion about it per se. We were focusing on working on the annual appeal and looking at all of those things and listening to the request from the library for special funding. So anyway, so that's.
Thanks for that. Item number 7 is President's comments, reports, and requests for action. The President is not present.
But I would like to take advantage of the municipality presentations because
Absolutely.
I have been.
That's part A of that.
That's part A.
Yeah.
I have been attending the Town of St. Joe's meetings on a regular basis. They had a budget workshop last, I think Wednesday, if I recall. Anyway, I attended, and I hung in there for 3 hours till they got to the library portion of the budget. And I had what I thought was probably the most productive, direct conversation with the town board. I think you know that they've been very concerned about our action not to reimburse the other libraries for what at one time would have been rural circulation. They continue to use that language, but of course it's not anymore. Anyway, and they had talked about actually all coming in and voicing, and we talked through if they in fact increased funding, say by $4,000, and would we consider reinstating reimbursement? And I said, let's do the math. We would, in the current setting, we're going to be short $27,000 from the county. And even if you reimbursed us we're still going to be short 23. I cannot imagine that you can persuade the library board that it's in the library's best interest to accept your $4,000 in turn for reducing. Anyway, so and the other thing I shared with them was they continue to go back. Well, there was a commitment, a promise made in the agreement. I don't know if you've read the joint library agreement, but on the very first page, the partners say that they are forming the joint library in order to increase funding for the library and to enhance the library. And I said, if in fact the partners had done what they said at the beginning of the joint agreement, and in fact had increased funding for the library, The issue of the reimbursement to the other libraries would never have come up. But after 5 years of no increase in funding, we were in an incredibly difficult position. And that was about the only option we had left. And they listened, and they began to talk then about the possibility of actually increasing their contribution. There was one other person sitting in the room with us, someone I know really well from the town, and a leader, and she raised her hand and said, "I think you should increase the funding to the library by $4,000." And they talked about it. They didn't vote on it. They didn't take action, but they actually did not dismiss it out of hand. So it was worth me sitting there for 3 hours to have that discussion, because it's the first time that we've really had what I believe is sort of a straightforward
Dialogue.
a dialogue. Yes. We actually talked and listened to one another.
So you'll find out when they found
They'll
budget,
have
if it's
several
in.
more
That's good.
budget meetings, but at least we had a dialogue, and I found that to be the investment of time that I put in over the course of the last year, at least an opening of the door. So anyway.
Well, I would say I disagree, I guess, with your assumption that the library is in a position that it's in because the joint partners didn't pony up to start with.
I'm only saying
It's-
that commitment was in the agreement. I'm
Well,
not.
okay, hear me out.
Okay.
I mean, I will continue to say that we're in a building we can't afford. We moved in, and there were certain individuals in our community and members of the library board 6 years ago that put us in this position, and we can't afford the building. That's the bottom line. That's why we're having financial and have had financial issues for the last 6 years. And I would say also that I voted against the budget. I think it was irresponsible especially for the city of Hudson city council members to withdraw the $40,000 that they had given previously, and for the board then to continue to keep the library open on Mondays. And for discussion about the foundation not going to be giving money if we close it on Mondays. The library has been put in a precarious position by the city council and by the foundation, as far as I'm concerned. The conversation that I had, I'll finish up. The conversation that I had with Stan Wecken, our village president, was that the village of Hudson, as far as I know, is not going to be giving any increase to the library. The budget is irresponsible and reckless, and therefore I don't think the village of Hudson, North Hudson is going to give any additional funding. I think it's going to be flat. So that's kind of where we're at there.
Kurt, does anybody know what has been proposed to the city of Hudson?
What's been proposed as far as
Yes, because
what?
we put in our budget assuming an assumption, conservative assumption, that they don't continue with the 40,000, that they just go to the 3-year average.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that's what we asked them for. So who's doing what to present?
Well, that's up to the representatives of
Okay, so we need
on
to.
this board from the city.
So we need to see, which is myself. Are you from the city?
Mm-hmm. Jim is.
Yeah, and Rich.
Yeah.
Rich is
So
from
we
the
need to
city.
find out from the three of us who's doing what and what is being asked for, because we shouldn't assume. We just used a conservative approach for the budget, which is the right thing to do.
Well, it's the right thing to do, but when you use a conservative approach and you're that far short, it's irresponsible to keep the library open
Yeah.
on Mondays.
That's-
That was the right thing to do would be to close it back down on Mondays without that funding. And now we have it open on Mondays, now we're really in a pickle. And you know, we have the same people putting us in the pickle. And so we're going to be financially strapped again this year.
I thought we left that meeting, hearing your issue, valid issue, with an assessment to, let's see what we're going to get. You took your assignment, did a great job. You took your assignment, tried your best, but...
No, I didn't try my best. I told them, I didn't try to obtain additional funding from the village in North
You
Hudson.
said you were going to do that.
I told them that it was irresponsible. I said I would
Okay.
talk to them.
Okay, so we
And I
lost
did.
out on an opportunity on that. We'll
I mean,
find out.
it's not a lost, no, Jill, it's not a lost opportunity. It's never a lost opportunity to raise taxes on people needlessly. That is not a lost opportunity. The lost opportunity was to take the responsible approach and to close the library back down on Mondays. That was the lost opportunity.
Let me finish. What I walked away with that meeting was that we would go to the various parties, we'd request something, knowing what we have in the budget is conservative, including the county, which is, there can be action that puts the 24,000 back into the fund. So that's not a dead issue yet. So it was my understanding those actions were going to take place before we addressed ways to have a balanced budget, of which closing on Monday is one of the ways to have a balanced budget. So that's the way I left
That
that
wasn't
meeting.
my assumption is that our budget is what it is. And again, I will say it again, it's the same people that put us in this building irresponsibly, same people that are forcing us now to stay open on Mondays. It's the same thing. It's all about leverage. It's all about putting the cart before the horse. And we don't have the funds. We don't have the funds to keep the library open on Mondays. We don't have the.
Right.
I'm not going to approve a budget that was so irresponsible. It just wasn't. It's not going to happen.
I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. Isn't it the people in this room that are the people responsible today to make, at every one of our board meetings, to make fiscal, really responsible decisions? So if you don't think we have made that, we should have an item on next month's agenda when we have our president and our vice president to discuss fiscal changes to balance the budget.
We had that conversation, Joe, because you asked me, you sat there and point blank asked me in the last meeting, don't just vote no, tell us what you would do. And I sat there and told you what would happen and what we could do. So, I mean, we had that discussion.
I know you
and,
gave the input, but we didn't get the input from other people. Dave voted no, we didn't get the input from him as to why
and I know that
he voted no.
Marion would not have voted for that budget.
And Marion wasn't there. So we got plenty of meetings before calendar 2017 happens. Let's put it on the agenda for next month. We can get reports like Barbara gave of her actions with, like your actions with your responsible party, us in Hudson. We don't know what's going on yet, so I apologize. We don't know.
And we
Well,
don't
that's
know
a
what's
direct-
happening in the town of
But the-
Hudson either.
The
Yeah.
Hudson issue is a big part of the puzzle. I mean, the city council needs to commit to continuing the funding. You can't say we're going to give this money, and by God, and then they tell us, okay, we've earmarked this money for opening. You can't use this money for anything else, and then the next year take the money away and not have the library close on Mondays. I mean,
I'm not going to argue with you on that.
I don't
What
get
we
that.
have to find out is what's being presented, requested of the city of Hudson. We know what was put in our conservative budget. Let's ask what's being requested. Then we could have a rational discussion on alternatives to balance the budget.
And in the current state,
And
as we
Monday's
currently
one.
have it,
Monday's
I'm just
one.
going to say, as we currently have it, as it currently sits, he's staying open on Mondays, running a big deficit. I don't foresee, I will advocate against the village of North Hudson contributing additional funds beyond what was put in the
Perfect.
kitty
So
last year.
what are we going to
Perfect.
do with our huge, this year? We started with a deficit budget, right? And what are we going to end the year with?
$50,000 surplus.
surplus. We're going to end, so what are we going to do with that surplus? Are we going to, we're supposed to be spending it. In terms of being irresponsible, Kurt, I actually believe that money was appropriated by and paid by our taxpayers for the benefit of this library. I believe that as a board, we are irresponsible when we end up with a $50,000 surplus. That we have no purpose for building up a fund. We have no intent to do a capital anything.
Let's give it back then.
Yeah, you have two choices.
But that's
Either
it.
spend
If
it
you
or
want
you
to
give
be,
it back.
are you really saying that you know? And this is the reason why Washington D.C. is $19.5 trillion in debt.
Well-
Are you really saying that we have this 50,000? We're irresponsible, not spending it.
Yes, I am. I am.
I'm flabbergasted.
I am
I'm saying
saying
we're irresponsible,
that
not
as a
giving it
tax-
back.
I'm
Give it
saying
back.
that as a taxpayer, money was I paid taxes to support this library,
We all did.
and the fact that they're not being used to support the library.
Both of your suggestions are
Yeah, take a
directly
vote, is
say
what
we
I'm
have a
concerned.
discussion
Right.
when the whole group
Yeah.
is here and we talk
Can we hear
about
from-
ways to
Can we
balance
move
the
on
budget.
in the agenda to the
Well, sure.
director's report?
I was going to go right through that part. We can move right on to the director's report, action item
Okay.
8.
The director's report was sent out, so I don't really have anything to add to the report. I would actually, any questions on the report? I'm going to move to the statistics. And I have a presentation.
The only question I have, is there anything that came out in the statistics that you were disappointed with?
I was excited about the statistics. They're contrary to the trends in the rest of the world.
I was just asking her.
Yeah, no. Because I always report those to the town of St. Joe. Tina and I talked about them.
Did everyone get the handout? Because I can start. So the visitor counts I did from 2013 through 2016 and just through August to give you a comparison of how we're doing.
And the definition of visitors is that's people walking in the
People
door, whether
walking.
they're members or...
Walking through the door, using the library. Yes.
They're breaking the light green. I think it's just a straight
Yes.
count of people in and people out, divided
People in
by
and
2.
people out, divided by 2. I didn't give you this slide because I thought of it after I printed yours. But a comparison of 2015 visitors to, that should say 2016 visitors.
Yeah.
There has been a 10% increase in visits to the Hudson Area Library in 2016 through August. So I think that's a pretty positive trend. The website, we've had an 18% increase in visits to our website over last year. Computer usage, that is up 7%. So we are having people come in here every day. That's not counting people who come in and use their wireless computers, and we have a lot of people using this meeting room and the study rooms.
And that's really contrary to the trends that we've experienced the last couple of years.
Yes. We have had a 20% increase in the use of digital materials by Hudson patrons. So that trend is increasing as well. And a lot of libraries are seeing that kind of taper off or flatten, but we are still seeing an increase. We have had an 8% increase in new registrations in 2016. And a circulation comparison, it's been a small 1% increase, but the trend in other libraries is going the opposite direction by anywhere from 5 to 10%. So that is a very positive trend. And I think that was the last slide. But I wanted to show you those positives. And I didn't really, the summer reading statistics, those were all very positive. I will have them all compiled. Mary was out on vacation until yesterday, so she wasn't able to get me her information for this month. But any questions? Kurt?
I have no questions for you.
Okay.
I think these all look really nice. What do you attribute some of that to, aside from the Monday? And how will you use it to plan with your staff to move forward to continue that trend?
I think our outreach, our publicity and marketing, more programming, giving the community what their needs, meeting their needs. I think that's a big trend. We are seeing more kids in here with homework, things like that. So those are all that's the right direction to be going.
How do you gather the information about what they need or what they want? Is that from when you're going and presenting to different groups?
It's that, it's a lot of observation because, we hear what are they requesting at the desk? What are they looking for? And a lot of things, like programming is a lot of trial and error, but that's been the case in every library I've been in. But, we could do surveys, we can, that conversation, I think, at that circulation desk, at the children's desk, at the information desk, those conversations to find out what people want and need are really important. And there's always the 80-20 principle out there in libraries we reach. We can hear from 80%, but there's that 20% that we need to find what they want, and that's always the challenge, finding a way to reach those people.
Well, you've obviously done a good job of listening and having open ears and being responsive. So,
Thank you.
Tina, a question I had under technology usage,
Mhm.
and I think I know the answer, I'm just curious, where it talked about sessions, historical internet usage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the sessions have decreased. Is that because, I guess the first part of the question is that because more people are personally connected and don't need to come to use this?
Yes.
And then the minutes used, yeah, there's been some blips in it, but the minutes stayed the same. So in other words, people are coming here, using it, and staying longer on it?
Yes. Yeah.
And there's probably fewer people standing in line bumping them off.
Exactly. More people have wireless devices, so
Yeah.
they can come in here with their own tablet, their laptop, whatever, and use any area of the library.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Not for me. Good numbers.
Yes, very good. Nice work. Next up is the Personnel and Policy Committee update and request for action. And we didn't meet.
Okay.
Right? So, is there anything that we're going to talk
Yes,
about?
yeah, actually
Okay.
there is. I've handed out to the others who were here earlier. We talked about this several months ago, and
Okay.
this is the plan for carrying out this Tina's review. What I have given you in this packet is, first of all, this timeline. We talked about this earlier. We're using the evaluation form that was put together, actually, I think 4 or 5 years ago. 5 years ago now. And it is based on on Tina's job description. So what I'm asking you to do is to go through and provide ratings of the various performance factors, and also to provide in the space any documentation for the rating, why you are rating her as you are. The rating scale is from 5 to 1, as outlined on the cover. So then, and then also to comment on her performance on her job goal, which is the strategic plan. So there's the valuation, and then there is the assessment of progress on job goal, and that is the strategic plan. So the strategic plan is attached, and of course, what we're looking at are those places where it says director, because the whole strategic plan is here. And it includes activities for the board, the foundation, and for the Friends. But it's only Tina's responsibilities. And this plan is for 3 years, so there's some places where it's really what she was responsible for doing in 2016. So I haven't gone through and highlighted that, but also it's a good time to look back at the strategic plan and sort of bring yourself up to date on that too. So, I'm asking Tina to do a self-assessment and provide that to me as well. I'm going to be seeking input from the library, from the Friends of the Library and from the Library Foundation. I'll ask Sam Carey to do that. He might ask Susie Gilbert to do it for him, which in many ways, Susie has been working very closely with Tina, is probably the foundation member who's worked most closely with you, and probably and has a background in HR too. So anyway, so if you can provide me with that feedback, then what I will do is I will compile it. I'll compile all the ratings, and I will just average them for the board. From the board's input. The overall rating is based on the percentages that are outlined in the job description. And so I prorate the ratings for the various categories based on the percentages in the job description.
Just one clerical,
Maybe, yeah.
clarification.
Yeah.
Page 1 of 5 for the library director job description.
Mm-hmm.
At least my copy where it says facilities management reality says 205. Probably should say 20%, right?
Oh, probably. It probably should.
Just probably need to change that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just saying it was just something I saw.
Yep. Somehow I did not have, all I had was a PDF of her job description, so I went back and tried to update it, and I didn't double check my work.
No, that's fine. I just saw it there. I don't think anybody's going to be confused by it. Probably just needs to be fixed.
So then we don't have another policy and personnel meeting scheduled for before our next meeting, but what I would do is then I'll bring the summary to the policy and personnel. We'll look it over and then bring it here for consideration. And then, and I guess we do that in closed session again. So we'll need that on the agenda. And then I will, as chair of policy and personnel, I'll review it with Tina in November. And Tina will put together a set of goals for 2017, probably based on the strategic plan. So that's, so first thing for all of you is, and I did send the input document to you, didn't I? Yes. So maybe Tina, what you could do is send people the form electronically, so that people can fill it out electronically and send it to me. Or you can print it off and, do it on paper and mail it to me or fax it to me.
And when would you like it?
I need it,
September 28th.
September 28th is what I'm asking. So that.
So we have the first assignment. September
You have,
28th.
yeah, we all have the first
Tina
assignment, and
has
Tina
one,
has
too.
an assignment. Then I will take all of that and work on it to prepare for the policy and
The
personnel
electronic
meeting.
version, Barb, is it got check marks that you just go on and do it, or is there?
Okay, let me, what, these are the bullets. So let's go to page 2 of 7 at the top where it says policies. That just is a summary of the activities that that are part of the job description under policies. And so you then, in the rating category, you would give Tina a rating for how well you think that she is fulfilling that part of her job responsibility. Now, if you say, I have no idea, I have absolutely no idea, you can leave it blank.
It's going to be self-explanatory, though,
Yes.
the electronic version, okay.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just sending you an electronic version. It's not fancy. It's just this, it'll just be a Word document.
It may not be a.
Right, but that's just the easiest way to get it back to you, though.
Yes,
From the electronic
absolutely.
version.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, I was just trying to make it as easy to get it back to me.
Well, to the Personnel Committee, I think this is a great way to do things. I am going to decline filling it out.
Okay.
And the reason is I've only been on the board 2 months, so I can't, it doesn't justify putting 2 minutes out of 12 in a performance. I can't justify doing that. So
Right.
next year I will, but this year I can't.
Yeah. So, but if there are things that you would like to say in a positive way, you certainly can send me things that you think she deserves special credit for. You can just send me that free text. This practice was put together by when Susie Gilbert was actually chairing the Policy and Personnel Committee. At one point, we had non-board members on those committees, and in some cases, actually chairing some committees. So, anyway, much to thank her for. The other thing we will then do eventually is come back and re-examine the job description. We didn't really mess with it, and having Tina come to a policy and personnel, I mean she's there, but to have that on the agenda, to have a dialogue about the job description and what you think needs to be changed, I think is the next step. Okay.
So we're good with that?
Yes.
Okay.
So the other is an agenda item that has been languishing for several months, and that is to make that small change in our bylaws to add the word public. And if you recall, Dave Osby said we could not modify our own bylaws, but if you read the bylaws, they were initially approved by the partners, but once they've been approved, we have full authority or power.
So that's a future agenda item?
Well,
Yeah, I think we should,
I think it should
Val
be.
B should be there.
Yeah.
Okay.
We should have more
More
people
board
here,
members.
especially those that have been around for a while. Dave and Mary.
Well, I mean, now Tina sent out to all of us a copy of our bylaws
Yes.
2 months ago, I think. So you might want to go back and make sure that that you've got those. And take a look at the very end where it talks about amendments, so that you're up to date. Okay?
Next up is a Finance Committee report. Do we have anything to report?
We had 2 members in attendance. All we did was review the expenditures and the plan for the rest of the year, and we were comfortable with them.
Okay,
And budget's done, so our committee is going to look at the cash balance and how that's being invested, if at all. Because
Okay.
we do have a $500,000 cash balance accumulation over a bunch of years. So
yes.
we'll take a look at Tina's. So that's on the agenda for some next meeting, and we'll bring that forward.
sounds like a plan.
That's it.
Other business, I have no other business.
Another business, I'd just like to speak for a minute with what we decided. The optics, and again, I'm remembering our last meeting, because I had some pretty strong recollections of city employees, what their rate of increase is versus what we've been talking about. When this becomes public, who is handling the optics of how we say and what we say it?
Well, it's a market rate adjustment.
It's not a
It's not,
performance.
it's
It's not a
not,
performance,
it's not based on.
It's adjustment. So that's the way you handle
Right.
it. And I think Rich said he was going to handle that.
Rich?
Yeah, I mean, he's the.
He's the president, I mean, that's, he should be the
Okay.
spokesperson. Yeah, but it's a market rate adjustment.
It's similar to if anybody in another in the city or school district gets, in essence, a promotion. I mean, it's a significant increase, but it's based on something other than performance.
Yes.
So,
As long as, again, just the concern is, the optics look right, and is it easily explainable?
I think we've got a remarkable set of data.
Okay. Then I'm happy.
I think I'm comfortable with that. Yeah.
I would like to make sure that the item that we discuss, because Kurt's got a valid point on what we're going to do with budget deficit after we understand what the partners are going to contribute. All options, we owe it to everyone to have a discussion on that.
So
Yeah, but I think, I'm not
So I'd
quite
like that
sure the
on
way you
future
phrase it.
agenda.
I'm not quite sure the way you phrase that, though, because did you just say that we're going to have a discussion after we understand what the partners are going to do? But, from our perspective in North Hudson, that decision to not give additional funds is based on the budget. And so, I mean, we're going one direction, we're going another.
You could say it's a chicken and egg thing.
Well,
We've heard
You
from
could
one
kind of say
partner,
that.
we've heard from another partner, let's hear from Hudson. Let's have a discussion that says, if we're still in a deficit, what are our options and what are we going to do? And we can list the 3 or 4 options, one of which is do nothing, one of which is close Mondays. I'm sure there's 2 or 3 other options that I haven't thought of that you could think of. I think we owe that discussion and we owe that to be public.
sure, we could do it again.
I
We had it
also, I
before.
would like us to talk
Yeah.
about them.
I walked away from that with a different take than you did, Kurt. And
Well-
with Jill, I thought there was still some room for tweaking and nudging and.
That's what I walked away with.
Yeah, so,
We can do that.
We
That's great.
weren't absolutely, no, we got to stay open Monday. I didn't walk away with that. We're not going to make that decision today.
Well, that's good, because it's, I don't really want to talk too much about it now, because we're just talking about a future agenda item, so we can put that on there for a future. Anybody else got any future agenda items?
I'd like to talk about the 500,000 cash balance
Okay,
Got it.
and what we're
Barb
going
wants
to
to
do.
talk about the cash balance. We can put that on there.
It's on there.
I'm sure that'll be a good one.
is that included together as a motion to add to the next agenda? Or
We
are those two
have,
separate
we
issues?
have, our
Just commentary,
agenda,
not action.
number 12 is
Yeah, it's not
our
really a
comments
motion,
and,
we said.
and we don't,
We're
We
on
can
number
just-
12.
Okay.
we
Comments
just,
and items for
our
future
practice
agenda.
is, our practice has been just to mention them, we don't need to have a motion.
Okay.
And there's no discussion. I mean, that's why I'm trying to
All right.
kind of, so we can talk about that. Yeah, anything else? Katie, you got anything you want to see on the agenda?
No, just wondering when policy committee is going to be.
Yes.
We got to all be there, so I mean, I don't know. Like I said, it's really Marion's call. Marion is the one that is.
I called Marion and he did not respond to me.
we all need to be there. So he's gonna have to be
How do,
part of
is,
that.
are you in contact with Marion?
I barely, I saw him this last week last week at a fundraiser, and that's the first time I've seen him since the last meeting. I hadn't seen him in a couple months. The only time I see him or talk to him is at the board meetings. So, I mean, I could try to get in touch with him.
Well, I think we can go ahead, the three of us, we are a quorum, the three of us can go ahead and meet, and we need to deal with Tina's performance evaluation.
Well, it's dependent on Marion. So if we can get Marion at the meeting, we just need to coordinate that. So
But how do we do that?
I can call him when we get done. He's, there's times of the year when he travels a lot with shows and stuff like that. So I don't know if we're in that. I think he's pretty much done with that now. I think the summer's very busy with shows. And with, he has shows and he has a lot of factory meetings in the summertime. And I think it starts to slow down a little bit now. So I can try to touch base with him when we get out of the meeting.
If you would encourage him to give me a call so I can find out what the possibilities are,
Yeah,
I would very much appreciate that.
hopefully we'll be able to.
And if he recalls that I'm not there, if you could leave a message about when would be a good time to call back.
Yeah. I'm fairly busy right now too, so it's going to be interesting.
Me too.
Because I'm
Yeah,
coaching.
I am as well.
Well, I'm saying at evening, I'm coaching cross country,
Yeah.
and we're very busy through the end of, 22nd of October is when it is the last meet, but my evenings are pretty tied up most of the time.
If
Tuesday.
that happens, if we do not meet, I will
Yeah.
go ahead and draft.
Well, I'm sure we can meet. I'll call Marion
Okay.
and see, what his thoughts are. He can send me, I know he doesn't like the email,
No.
so, whatever. I'm not a huge fan of it either, but, as long as we're just talking about
If you can.
the date
hopefully.
for meeting, I'm okay with that. I don't like to have any other discussions other than that on email, but I can try and touch base with him and have him contact you. He's not gonna send you an email, so he can, he has your number though, he can call your number. It's on the website,
It's
right?
on the website,
Okay.
that's right.
I feel like
Motion to
I feel like a go-between in a high school.
You're
I'm like a
arranging the
go-between, like a boyfriend and girlfriend. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
I
Aye.